Hey everyone, welcome back to bageltcg. I know it's been a while, but I am excited to jump headfirst into spoiler season for the Dynasty set and start looking at some of the cards that have been spoiled so far and the assassin class that I'm really excited for. I'll also be at Worlds in a few days competing, and I would love to say hi to any of you, so don't be afraid to walk up and say hi. But let's hop right into it. Let's start looking at Arachne Huntsman, our first ever assassin hero in Flesh and Blood, and he is classic constructed playable here. 4 intellect, 40 life, the kind of standard, and no talent here. Once again, just kind of the base assassin hero. I suspect we will have a talented assassin hero soon, but I think they like to start with kind of just a base class for each hero. So first, looking at this Arachne Huntsman, he's got the effect whenever you play a card with contract, you may look at the top card of an opponent's deck, you may put it on the bottom. And a contract card is something like this, the mythic Surgical Extraction, which has contract. You are contracted to banish opponent's blue cards. Whenever you complete this contract, create a silver token. And to be able to banish these cards and fulfill the contract, it says when this hits a hero, banish the top card of their deck, then look at their hand and banish a card. So you're able to manipulate the top of their deck because of Arachne's ability. Whenever you're playing this card, no matter what, since you've played the card with contract, you get to look at the top card, either keep it on top or put it on the bottom. This helps because so far every card with contract we've seen banishes the top card of the opponent's deck if it hits. And this helps us filter by looking at the top of their deck. We can either fulfill the contract if we see a card that we want to keep on top and fulfill the contract, or if we just see a really powerful card, even if let's say this one needs to hit blue cards. If we see a Channel Mount Heroic or an Art of War on top, we can keep that there and try to banish it to remove some powerful cards from our opponent's deck. You're not required to fulfill the contract. It's just a bonus where, if you fulfill the conditions of banishing a blue card, you get a silver token. This contract is in effect as long as this attack is in the arena, which means as long as it's attacking and is on the combat chain. If you break the chain by, playing a non-attack action or through other methods, that will remove the contract from the arena. But you can fulfill it multiple times. So if you play this card and you give it go again, and then you play another card with contract, you can, banish another card and then fulfill this again and get multiple silver. So contracts are in effect as long as the card is in the arena, which usually means attacking and on the combat chain. This Majestic in particular is quite strong. It not only takes a card, it takes the card off the top of their deck, which all the contracts do so far, but this one also banishes a card from their hand, and that is a card of your choice. You get to see their full hand and take a card from it. Very powerful effect. Obviously, the downside is that it's only 4 power for 2 resources, which is a pretty low rate, but the effect I think is certainly worth it. And if you're able to pump it, get it over the top somehow, and we'll see he does have some reactions that help your cards get through, this will be fantastic. Assassin is looking to be a disruptive class with lots of disruptive tools, banishing off the top, banishing from hands, banishing from the arsenal, lots of disruptive tools, and also somewhat defensive. Every card I've seen so far blocks for 3, which is surprising. Even their reaction blocks for 3. It's a very defensive class. You look at aggro classes like Ninja, where most cards block for 2. Runeblade, a lot of their cards block for 2 since they're non-attacks. I don't know if I've seen a 2-block ninja card or assassin card yet. Every assassin card is blocked for 3, so it's almost seeming kind of like Control Katsu to me, where you're able to block with a few cards from your hand, each for 3, and then you're able to come in with 1 or 2 really good on hits. None of the attacks themselves so far have go again, but we are able to give them go again through their legendary equipment here, the Black Tech Whispers, which are very, very powerful equipment. They block for 1 with Battle Worn, so they'll still stick around. So you can block for 1 with them, gain save 1 point of life, and then on your turn, you can use them as a reaction to give an assassin attack action card the effect, when this hits a hero, it gains go again. So using these, you can not only gain a life by blocking for 1, you can also give one of your attack actions go again after it hits. That destroys them to give it go again. That's part of the attack reaction. But at the beginning of your turn, at the start of your turn, you can pay 2 silvers, and then you can equip this from your graveyard. So this is a repeatable effect to give attack actions go again and save life by blocking for 1, which is very powerful and a nice payoff for the silver tokens you'll be getting. Almost all of the assassin attack actions, I believe all of them that we've seen so far, have a contract at the top, and if you fulfill that contract, you get a silver token. So you're able to really stack up those silver tokens and then use this as kind of the main payoff. We also have the Mask of Perdition, which has the same effect of being battle warrant for 1, and you can re-equip it by paying 2 silver. It also has an attack reaction destroy effect, but this one is only when that attack action hits, they banish the top card. So this is nice in the sense that you can mill your opponent a little faster, banishing 2 cards instead of just 1 when they hit, and you can maybe fulfill your contract multiple times. But honestly, I don't think this card is nearly as good as giving Go Again, especially because this deck really wants Go Again. None of their cards have Go Again built in, at least from what we've seen so far, except their weapon. And so Go Again is going to be really important. I think you could still run this card, but I think you might want Crown of Providence over this. I don't think we'll have enough silver to be paying 2 silver into this and 2 silver into the boots at the same time. So while I do think Mask of Perdition is good, I think it's quite good, I don't know if we're going to have enough silver to play both this and Black Tech Whispers. That remains to be seen. Obviously, I'm putting a lot of initial judgments out there without seeing the full set, but I would guess that you don't have so much silver that you can play both Mask and Whispers effectively. So you might want just like Crown of Providence instead here. Speaking of the weapon, so far we have these rare weapons. They seem to be the weakest part about the class so far. It is 1 damage, 1 power with Go Again for the cost of 2 resources, which is pretty weak. Usually for pretty much every weapon in the game, you want to pay less than the actual power of the weapon. You know, think of even something like Winter's Veil, you're paying 3 for 4 damage. Romping Club, 2 for 4 damage. Dawnblade is 1 for 3. Even 1 for 1, like the Kodachis, is still fine, but paying 2 for 1 is a little, it's just not ideal. And especially because they're both one-handed, you'll have to pitch 2 total cards to be able to attack with both of them. So I'm hoping we get some sort of majestic weapon. You know, the card set's not all revealed yet, obviously. There's still room for possibly another weapon for the class. So I'm hoping we get a stronger weapon. There is a few nice effects on this. It has Piercing 1, which is a new keyword. It just means if it's defended by an equipment, it gets +1 power. So they can't be blocked by Rampart of the Ram's Head. That's pretty nice. It definitely makes it so that they're going to connect more often. And you can't just block them with equipment. You can still use Crown of Seeds, annoyingly, but you cannot use Rampart. You can't throw random equipment in front of them. They'll just get pumped up unless you're putting a 2-block equipment in front of them. And then it has the effect of when this hits a hero, the next time they defend with 1 or more attack action cards this turn, those cards have -1 defense while defending. So the effect of hitting is actually quite nice. Giving your opponent's attack action cards -1 defense will help all of your on-hits get through, and pretty much every assassin attack we've seen so far has an on-hit. Usually that on-hit is banishing the top card of your opponent's deck, but some of the on-hits, like we saw with Surgical Extraction, are even better, like banishing a card from hand, or the other Majestic that we'll see here, which banishes also a card from Arsenal, Leave No Witnesses. So it is nice to give your opponent's attack actions minus defense, but it's only for attack actions, and I just don't think it's quite good enough. So obviously we'll play those weapons if they're all we've got, but I don't think they're not the strongest weapon I've seen in the game, right? The attack actions are kind of where this deck shines. Speaking of, this is another Majestic attack called Leave No Witnesses. It's a 0 for 4. Blocks for 3. Like I said, I believe all of the attacks we've seen so far block for 3. And it has contract. You're contracted to banish red cards. Every contract gives you a different condition, like banishing red cards, cards that cost 2 or greater, cards that cost 1 or less, non-attack actions, attack actions. Every current type of card you could think of, there is a contract basically that wants you to banish it. So, and once again, when you complete that contract, you get a silver token. This card, when you hit a hero, you not only banish the top card of their deck, you also get to banish up to 1 card in their arsenal. So kind of a CNC here, type of effect, but for a 0 for 4, so a really nice rate, this card is just phenomenal, obviously. 0 for 4 is a great effect. You can block with the rest of your hand for, 9, and then come in for 4. If you hit that on hit, not only are you getting 11 points of value just from the blocking 9 and attacking for 4, sorry, you're getting 13 points of value just there. Taking a card can be worth about 3 points of value, right? So you're getting like 16 points of value from that hand, which is quite good. Yeah, this card's a 3 of. I don't see any assassin deck. I mean, any assassin deck is a big thing to say because we don't know other assassins, but at least Arachne will always have 3 of this card, I imagine. This card and the other Majestic, Surgical Extraction, are definitely going to carry the deck in terms of disruptive effects. Banishing from Arsenal and banishing from hand are both quite good. And then we can kind of look at the other contracts here. So these are all going to be commons and rares, which means these will have full cycles. So there's going to be yellow and a blue of this as well, and those will have less power. So the yellow will have 3 power and the blue will have 2 power, but the rest is the same. So this one is a contract to banish non-attack actions. All of the commons and rares that we've seen so far, the only on hit is that you banish the top card of their deck, and so that'll effectively help you fulfill the contract, where once you complete it, you get a silver token. So this one's a 0 for 4. We also have Sack the Shifty here, another 0 for 4. This one wants you to banish a card that has Go Again written on the card, base Go Again. So not cards that can gain it, like Scar for Scar, that won't work. It's cards like Belittle that say Go Again, literally on the card. It does say any kind of card with Go Again, so you can banish non-attacks like Nimbalism as well. Very good card though. I like the 0 for 4s for the most part. Obviously paying 0 is really nice, and usually 0 for 4s have shown to be quite powerful in Flesh and Blood. Another strong one we have here is Plunder the Poor. This one wants you to banish cards that cost 1 or less. Great into aggro. I mean, there's a lot of decks in the game that try to play cheap cards. Even control decks play a lot of cards that cost 3 or less, so this will be good there. We do have a few, like Annihilate the Armed, that are 1 for 5s at red. A little weaker, obviously, but maybe fine because our weapon costs 2 resources to attack with. If we only want to swing with one of our daggers, we can pitch a blue, swing with the dagger, and then attack with Annihilate the Armed, and that can be kind of nice. One of the things that my team has been talking about that can make the daggers a bit more worth it is playing even bigger than that. The card that gets you a Quicken token and draws you a card. Pretty nice effect, and is one of the few ways so far that we've seen that will give your attack actions Go Again without having to use our legendary boots. Other cards we've got here, we have another Majestic called Payday. Payday is a 0 cost blue. If you've completed a contract this turn, create 4 silver tokens. This card I think is kind of meh from what I've seen, unless there's a really powerful silver payoff where you need a ton of them for it. I think you'll probably build up enough silver through your contracts to pay for your Black Tech Whisperers, your boots. I don't know why you would need 4 silver all at once. So unless there's obviously something coming up that uses like a ton of silver, you need 5, 6 silver to use its effect. I don't think this will be necessary. Not having Go Again makes it pretty meh, and especially if all our cards had Go Again already, this would probably be good. You could just play it at the end of your combat chain and get 4 free silver. But since nothing really has Go Again, this card is not great. So probably not going to see a ton of play, especially compared to the other 2 Majestics that are just really strong. We have a great reaction here. This is Shred. Shred is a attack reaction, but it 3 blocks, which is insane for an attack reaction. Once again, this deck is going to block phenomenally, especially because you get repeated block from your equipment, like your Black Tech Whispers are going to be kind of like a Valiant Dynamo blocking over and over, and then you get 3 block on all your cards. It's just going to be a very good defensive deck that has disruptive tools. Shred, though, a very strong card. 0 cost attack reaction gives a card that's defending an assassin attack -4 defense. So -4 is great. I mean, this trades evenly with Sink Below and Fate Foreseen. But I think the really powerful version of this card is actually the blue version of Shred. And blue version of Shred will give target a card defending an assassin attack action -2. And obviously, -2 is not crazy, but for 0 cost on a blue that also blocks for 3, it basically makes it a better lunging press, right? Instead of, lunging press gives something +1, and it's a blue attack reaction that blocks for 2, I believe. This card will block for 1 more for 3 and gives it -1. It kind of pumps it, quote unquote, by 1 more damage because it gives the card -2 block. So I don't know how great yellow or red shred is going to be. I imagine red shred is still going to be pretty good as a sideboard card into control decks. Control decks that want to use bigger reactions like Fate Foreseen or Sink Below, because this will trade evenly with those, right? But I imagine the blue will be a 3 of all the time, just because it's a blue that 3 blocks, and then if you get a hand with too many blues, you can play it and get one of your powerful on hits, like Leave No Witnesses that we saw. You can make the card blocking and have -2 and get this through, which is very powerful. And then rounding out, we've got a few more rares and commons. So Rob the Rich, this one you're contracted to banish cards with cost 2 or greater. Once again, the rares and commons are going to be cycles. So there's also a yellow 4 power and a blue 3 power. This card's fine, but there are less decks that have expensive cards than there are decks with cheap cards, and it costs 1. So I'm going to say that the low cost version, Plunder the Poor, is probably better. Then we've got Fleece the Frail. I do like that all of the names rhyme. This one is banish cards with 2 or less defense. I think this card's fine. A lot of decks play at least one or, have 1 or 2 cards a hand that have 2 or less defense. And I do love that rate of 0 for 4 and blocking for 3. Then we've got Nyx the Nimble. Nyx the Nimble, probably one of the hardest ones to turn on because it wants you to banish reaction cards. And I will say reaction is not a very common type of card. Just not a great. And if it's a defense reaction, they'll probably just play it to block this first before it hits and banishes. I guess no, this isn't from hand. The banish is from top of deck, so that doesn't really matter. But not that many decks play reaction, so it's just not going to hit that often. And I believe that's all the assassin cards we have so far. I'm going to do a video after this, probably coming out tomorrow, that will kind of be a retroactive spoiler review. I'll go through all of the spoilers that have kind of trickled out through the past 2 or 3 weeks leading up to spoiler season. And I'll kind of go over those and talk about my opinions on each of those. But I wanted to really hop on and talk about Assassin, which I'm really excited for. In Magic, I was a big Jund, Sultai, mid-range player. I loved some Thoughtseize. And that's what this deck is. I mean, they printed on hit Thoughtseize your opponent here. Thoughtseize, of course, is a Magic card that lets you make your opponent discard a card from their hand that you get to choose. So pretty good here. And I love disruptive cards. That's one of the reasons I love Guardian so much. And I'm excited to have another kind of more aggressive disruptive tech. Obviously, Guardian is a disruptive deck, but it blocks a lot and usually disrupts through just 1 big attack a turn. But this is kind of the smaller Guardian, right? It's multiple cheap attacks compared to 1 really big attack. So instead of coming in with Crippling Crush, we're going to come in with Surgical Extraction to take a card from their hands, and then we'll give it go again with our boots, and we'll come in with Leave No Witnesses to banish their arsenal. So we'll still disrupt them and take cards away, but we'll do it over the course of a larger chain link compared to just 1 big attack like Guardian. But either way, I love blocking for 3. I'm excited to see all these 3s in the bottom right here. I appreciate you watching. Remember to like, subscribe, comment. If you're at Worlds, come say hi. I am really excited to go. First time going to California, so that's pretty hyped too. And I'll see you guys next time.